Hey guys, King of Charms here to be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today, this is going to be the full meta-analysis for Open Great League for Toxapex. It's tanky, and it's really freaking good, but is it good? Is it meta? It's gonna be super meta, I'm not even gonna front. It's gonna be really freaking good. But, is it really, really worth going out? Yes, it is. I'm gonna answer that question for two, but yes, it totally is. And it's going to shake up the meta because it beats so many things in the meta. Now, there's a few problems with Toxapex I'm going to highlight in this video, but this is going to be a full rundown on Toxapex for Open Great League. My first reminder to you, it doesn't go past, at level 50, it doesn't go anywhere near 2500, so don't build one for Ultra League. But outside of that, it's still very, very powerful, and in Open Great League, you're going to probably see it a lot once it's available in Open Great League in approximately 3 weeks, because Open Great League doesn't come back for another, 3 weeks, something like that. But before we get started, it's going to be my therapist mental health tip of the day. And you could skip this by going 2 minutes ahead of the video, or you could use the chapters to go straight to the analysis. But for today's tip, since we're talking about Toxapex, this is toxic positivity. And Pokemon Go PvP, at least the community, is very, very toxic positive. So what is this? Toxic positivity is the act of avoiding, suppressing, or rejecting negative emotions or experiences. This may take the form of denying your own emotions or someone else denying your emotions, insisting on positive thinking instead. For example, let's put this for example. Pokemon Go PvP has so much potential. It's been 4 years. We only get 1.2k average. We didn't break anywhere past 2k or 3,000 viewers for Baltimore Grand Finals or even regionals. That's not huge. That's really freaking low. To put in perspective, at the same time that was viewing, at the same time Pokemon Go PvP was viewing, it was also Valorant's Grand Finals. So in the Grand Final, Baltimore took 2k viewers. For Valorant, with Optic versus Loud, one of the top North American organizations versus the top Brazilian organization in esports, 254,000. So we're not huge. So that is denial, to where you're denying your own and you're trying to tell yourself in positive. Or good vibe only, as in Pokemon Go has so much potential. Good vibes, it has so much potential, it's going to grow so fast. It's been 4 freaking years. To put in perspective, Valorant's been out for 2 years and has 254,000 concurrent viewers. That's not good for our esport. But it is what it is. But that's another thing of toxic positivity or good vibes only. So it's a pattern of behavior and non-official term for our diagnosis. It doesn't come without controversy. So it's a lot out there in social media. It runs rampant on Twitter. But there's nothing wrong with showing positivity, optimism, gratitude, and those traits absolutely help you focus. However, if positivity becomes problematic when functions to reject negative emotions. So if someone's trying to be like, oh my god, I just need to get really good at Pogo PvP and maybe become a full-time esports I can tell you right now, someone that's pretty high up on a team staff, no, good luck with that. But yes, this is how important. This is why I'm taking a little long for toxic positivity. But if you want, like I mentioned, if you want to skip this, go further ahead and definitely take a look at this article because it's very relevant in today's generation and today's current era as far as it comes to social media, and of course when it comes to Pokemon Go PvP and how much they try to shove in your face, and it still lags. But without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so Toxapex is a water and poison type Pokemon. I'm only using Tentacruel on PvPoke for this as just an example. They share the same typing, so it's just easy to put it on chart and on paper, or rather on screen. So for Toxapex and Tentacruel, they share the same typing, and with that being said, being water and poison, they are weak to electric, ground, and psychic. So while that might seem to be a little bit of a problem, it's like a giant tank. This is Bastiodon. It's water Bastiodon. That's basically what it is. Except it actually has charge, move, pressure, etc. And it doesn't just hurl rocks at you. But being water poison, again, you have 3 weaknesses, but the resistances you get are amazing. You resist water, you resist steel, poison, ice, fire, Fighting, Fairy, and Bug. So you get 3 weaknesses with 8 very meta resistances. Fightings for fighters, for counter users, poison types for other poison jab users, steel. You don't see flash cannon that much anymore, but you know what? Some steel type attacks like that do exist, which is mostly like mirror shot, etc. But yes, it does resist steel. You have water, so hydro cannons like Swampert. You laugh at hydro cannons. You also resist bug as well as charmers, ice types like Walrein. This thing is literally, it's going to be super meta once it's going to be very meta once it comes out. And it's very, very powerful. So outside of the typing, we have the movesets, or the IVs. Like I mentioned to you, Toxapex has incredibly high defense. If you put this thing in Basti side to side, it's literally water. It's like a water Bastion, an improved Bastion 2.0, something like that. Now for IVs wise, if you want to rank one, it is 0. You can get one as an XL. It's 40. It's literally smack down at 40.5 at 0, 15, 15. So that's the one. Like, I don't know if you really want to hunt for 0, 15, 15, but you know what? That's what it is, and it goes above level 40. So there's its bulk. I mean, if you want level 40 in general, it's not too much off. It's literally 1, 14, 15. So I don't foresee it being too much of an issue where it goes one more level up. But hey, if you want the more bulk, the merrier, right? But that's Toxapex. So if you want, again, if you want the XL, if you want an XL, you want 0, 15, 15. Other than that, level 40 in my opinion is probably perfectly fine. Half a level, if you're really praying for 1 HP in a dream with half a level, then good luck. But other than that, it has Poison Jab and Bite, Muddy Water, and its charge moves are Muddy Water, Sludge Wave, and Gunk Shot. So you don't have too much of a variety when it comes to charge moves, but Muddy Water and Sludge Wave is enough. Muddy Water can debuff opponents, be really annoying, and with all of its tankiness, if you get 2 debuffs in a row, you are laughing at your opponent. It's still a 30% debuff with Muddy Water. And Sludge Wave and Gunshot don't do heavy damage as being some of the most heavy-hitting moves with poison. So this thing is good. Alright, now we got shield scenarios. So this is the 2 shield. In other words, as a lead or safe switch, here's Toxapex. I put every move, not every moveset, but Muddy Water, Sludge Wave. I also put Muddy Water, Gunk Shot. And I put Bite in here just in case. We're going to analyze everything, so might as well take a look at it. I got the Great League meta to the right, and I already put the 2 shield at. And as you see here, Toxapex is actually really baller. So I'm going to highlight the differences first. As you see here, the differences between Toxapex with Bite or without Bite, here's what happens. If you have Bite, you lose against a lot of things. No, seriously, look. So unless this is a specialized cup, and you know you're targeting a specific mon or a specific typing like Psychic types, you die a lot of things. But outside that, you can pick up Lantern, Umbreon, Walrein, and with the Bite version, you only pick up Cofagrigus and Frostless. So this is the 2 shield. So yes, there's as you see, those are 3 super relevant meta Great League mons, and you only have Cofagrigus. Now the problem with Toxapex now rated after this, it's very bait heavy or debuff heavy. So as you see here, Toxapex, you beat Altaria, Araquanid. Of course, you're going to murder Azumarill to death. But let me highlight Altaria first, because Altaria is still a very meta mon. So Altaria, you win the 2 shield, but it's bait heavy. As in, you have to double bait and then Sludge Wave. There's not a universe where Altaria is going to feel super threatened because it does 52 damage, which is a little bit... It's like 30% of Altaria's HP, but Altaria just laughs at you as it can tank 1 Sludge Wave. I see here 1 Sludge Wave, it laughs at it. It laughs at you. But if you get the bait, it's great, but it's very bait dependent. You can't just go straight Muddy Water. If you try to go straight Sludge Wave, Altaria will live with 42 HP. So you can do this strategy where you'll have Toxapex sacking the lead, and then you can farm down the Altaria in the back. But if you're going to outright beat it in the 2 shield, you need a bait. With Araquanid is kind of the same issue here. With Araquanid, you can go straight Sludge Wave, so you don't really have to bait in this scenario. However, you kind of need to be careful, because as you see, straight Bubble Beam will force all of your energy, so your opponent can farm you down. And because Toxapex is bulky, they're going to get a decent amount of farm and load up before you go down. So a Swampert can farm you down after you straight Sludge Wave will pour Araquanid down. Next up, we got Azumarill. Of course, you kill Azumarill. Poison Jabs will kill Azumarill. I don't even need to explain this one. But fun fact, you actually beat Bastion in 2 shields. At Blink, Go Battle does not take your soul. As you see, Go Battle Lag must not take your soul. And you must actually debuff with 2 Muddy Waters. If by some chance you don't debuff with 2 Muddy Waters in this entire scenario and you need to get your debuffs early, you won't beat Bastion in the 2 shield. So keep that in mind. You need to debuff by a 3rd and the 6th Muddy Water. So you need... So if you're lucky enough, you just roll and you just get like 3 off the bat, or like your 2 early ones, then your Bastion will hate you for the rest of its life. Or your opponent's Bastions are just going to be like, really, dude? But yes, you can be Bastion 2 shield, given that you Muddy Water debuff early. Like I mentioned already, you'll lose against Cofagrigus unless you have Bite. And Toxapex, even though it's weak to Cresselia, being a... Well, it's not weak to Cresselia, you're just weak to Psycho Cuts. It can't straight Grass Knot you down, as you see here. So, except it has Future Sight. So if it has Future Sight, you are going to be careful, because if it does have Future Sight, this is where things get dicey, because if Cresselias have Future Sight, they can just straight Future Sight you to death. Unless it's a 2-turn difference, so again, Go Battle Lag. It can even beat Deoxys defense. Well, Deoxys defense has a Psycho Boost you, I already explained that. As long as it can't straight Psycho Boost you down because you're too bulky, and you do resist these counters. So, as you see here, you could just, it's literally Sludge Wave to death, and you live with so much HP left. So, you could beat Deoxys defenses very handily. You lose against Diggersby, but 497 is not a bad rating. You could also beat Drapion. So, Drapion, you don't outright wall Drapion, but the thing is, outside of Crunch, your opponent can't really do much against you, with Toxapex having a very healthy matchup against Drapion. You kind of have to Sludge Wave at the end here, but it's still a very good matchup against Drapion. Again, you beat Frostus with Bite. With Lantern, you can win. So with Lantern, it's very dicey because obviously you're weak to Electric-type Pokemon. But here's the thing. Even if you do, it's very bait dependent. As you see here, you have to land a Sludge Wave if you want to get him as low as you can. If you go straight Sludge Wave, as you see here, Lantern lives with a lot of HP left, so you still lose pretty hard against Lantern. You have a chance with Gunk Shot, but it's still not too comfortable. You have to bait and then literally Gunk Shot to death. So, not a comfortable matchup against Lantern with Spark, but with Water Gun, you can beat the Water Gun version, just not the Spark version. You beat Lickitung, Mandibuzz, Marowak, Medicham. You still lose against Nidoqueen. 1 Earth Power will send you... Well, Earth Power still hurts a lot. If you look at the 2 shield here, Earth Powers are going to... Yes, this is baity, but if you put... If they go straight Earth Power against you, as you see, you could still... You win. But you'll lose a 1 shield, because you can't just straight Earth Power them to death. So, Nidoqueen's still very dangerous. Earth attacks still evil. Probably it will live 1 Earth. It will live. It can live 1. As you see, 728 Earth Power. 1 Earth Power will only do 72 points of damage, but you only live 1. That's the point. Other than that, you beat freaking Charmers, Noctowl, Obstagoon, Renirigus. Yes, Renirigus. You beat Renirigus because even though it does have Sand and Shadow Ball, your Muddy Waters can straight Muddy Waters you to death. Given that you do get the debuff, as you see here. So. You could also beat Scrafty. Of course, you lose against Swampert, Skarmory, and Stunfisk. You lose against most Steel types, except for Bastiodon, which is amazing. I love that you could beat Bastiodon. You even lose against Registeel, sadly. Zapcat, Registeel loves to see you because it doesn't resist everything you have to offer, but those Zap Cannons are going to add up. You could also beat Talonflame, Toxaprobe, Trevenant, Venusaur, Vigoroth, and Walrein. You won't beat the Shadow one, but the Shadow one has to Earthquake you in order to win. So it's a bait-dependent matchup, which is still very comfortable for you because they have to land the Earthquake to win. They can't just straight up go straight Earthquake to beat you. As you see, Toxapex wins in a very nice 69 seconds. You have to bait. The given is you kind of have to bait, but as you see here, you could probably... You still look pretty healthy. You could probably go... I don't think you could... Can you go straight Sludge Wave? Nope, you can't go straight Sludge Wave, but you know what? It literally lives with 1 HP. So if you have a little bit of chip damage, you could go straight Sludge Wave against Walrein. So 1 HP, it'll live with 1 HP. But as you see, it has a whooping 26-13 record. So either using Gunk Shot or Sludge Wave, you're probably going to want to use Sludge Wave more. But as you see, it has a great average against so many things that are meta. So yeah, a lot of these are bait dependent. In other words, they'll call for you to either Sludge Wave through shields or to get those Muddy Water debuffs. But with its bulk, and if you do get those debuffs, you're going to piss your opponent off a lot. And like I said, that's a really great average. Even though a lot of those are bait-dependent matchups or debuff matchups, it's still Toxapex can set you up to break your opponent's shields, outright win matchups, or you could just farm down your opponent after sacking Toxapex in the leave and just use all that energy and close out your opponent. Alright, we did the 2 shield, here's the 1 shield. And the 1 shield, it's still really dang good. With Toxapex, some of your matchups you do lose against it, but you know it still wins against a lot of healthy meta. In the 1 shield, you can go straight Sludge Wave against Altaria. You beat Araquanid, you could also beat Azumarill. Of course, Fairies will lose to Poison type. Sadly, you won't be able to beat Bastiodon. Yep, you can't straight Muddy Water or Bastion dead. But you know what? This is a ridiculously long battle. If you get Toxapex versus Bastiodon, you are going to be there for 2 minutes in the 1 shield. Yeah, it's a long time. So buckle up. If you are the poor soul using Toxapex, and if you're in this matchup, you're going to be there for a minute. 2 minutes to be exact. Or, yeah. Actually, no. 210 seconds. That's 3 minutes, right? Yeah. You run... Yeah. Oh, wait, no, it's 2 minutes. I'm sorry, my time's off. It's late, so, yeah. But you don't drop off too many matchups. You still beat DD, you still beat Lantern, Lickitung, Mandibuzz, Marowak, Alola Marowak, Medicham, Ninetales. A lot of the matchups you were supposed to win or lose against in the 2 shield, you retained in the 1 shield. So there's not too much change in the 2 shield and the 1 shield. Now, when it comes to G-Fisk, you will die against G-Fisk a lot, so don't even think you're going to get away with, like, Muddy Waters or anything like that, because Earthquake will yeet you from the face of the planet, so... Actually does half of Toxapex's HP, or more than half. And as you see, you can still beat Umbreon, Venusaur, Walrein, Vigoroth. You could actually beat both variations of Walrein in the 1 shield, but even then, if you look at the record 24-15, it's still very, very healthy. And you can Sludge Wave things to death versus the other way around, where normally you would have to bait. But still really comfortable, either in a 2s or 1s, it's still a beast. And Toxapex is looking to be very solid in both the 1 shield and the 2 shield for a lot of different meta matchups. Alright, we did the 1 shield, now we're going to go to the 0s. But first, in the 1 shield, if you do Bite or if you do Poison Jab, you pick up Cofagrigus, Frostlass, Neoqueen, and Renerius. It is not worth it to do all of this. You lose against so many matchups in the 1 shield, and the only thing you pick up is Toxicroak. That's literally it. But for the next one, as you see, we did the 1s, and now we're going to do the 0s. So in the 0 shield, when you close out, it's still very solid. You lose the ability to beat Altaria, sadly, because Altaria is just, it's not super thick, but it's thick. You do retain a lot of matchups. You will be able to beat Cresselia in the 0s, though, given you don't have a lot of chip damage. Because as you see here, you only live with 11 HP, dude. So you can win the 2s and the 0s, you could go straight Sludge Wave, but that's if it doesn't have a ton of energy. So just be careful. It's not super comfortable. You also beat Deoxys defense. Eblit, you barely survive. If they have Psycho Boost, you're probably going to die. But you beat Drapion. You lose against Lantern with Spark now, but that's okay. It's expected in the 0s because you get Thunderbolted to death. You still beat Lickitung, Mandibuzz, Alola Marowak. You lose Medicham because Psychic hits you hard, and Nidoqueen because of Earth Power. So you lose against... Yes, you still lose those. But you still beat Alola Ninetales. You beat Shadowtail. You beat Shadow Canine, Noctowl, Obstagoon, Scrafty, Talonflame, Toxicroak, Trevenant, Umbreon, Venusaur, and Vigoroth. Yeah, you beat a whole lot of things. In other words, another thing I've noticed about Toxapex is that it literally is, it's a Walrein Trev core. It's a Walrein Trev core breaker. So, as you see here, Walrein Trev, it beats Trev pretty, well, it's bait dependent to beat in these scenarios, but it can, the keyword, it can be a core breaker to Walrein Trev cores. So, Toxapex is looking really solid with a lot of different combinations, and once Great League comes back, Great League should come back a little bit in, well, that's open, like completely open. I don't believe the Evolution Cup allows Toxapex. I'll have to take a look at that before I do the closing for this video. But as you see here in the 0s, it's solid, 23-16. Still retaining against a lot of really relevant meta picks, and you're going to see this thing a lot. Sadly, it's like a lot of the matchups you see are bait dependent. There's not a lot of things where you could go straight Sludge Wave, or you're going to have to Sludge Wave through Shield, or you could use Toxapex in a Sacked Elite scenario. Or Sack Sage Twist scenario. Also, don't use Bite. You only pick up Frostlass and Renerius in the 0s. You pick up Watergun Lantern, but you lose against Deoxys defense. But it doesn't really matter. It's not worth losing all these matchups just to try to put Bite, Toxapex, and trying to make it work in Open Great League. And that's game! So, Toxapex is going to be... You know, they really have to stop flipping open the Open Great League meta with all these new things. But Toxapex does align with the main series games of being, like, just as powerful because it's a super tank from hell. And it wins a lot of matchups. What's really risky is you really bank on either baiting or getting the Mook move through, or Muddy Water straight up debuffing. So Toxapex, while it is really good, it's also very tricky. And at the same time, it takes you 2 minutes to kill Bastiodon, given you are able to debuff. So it's a very interesting, it's going to be really good, and like I said, a lot of people are going to use it, but it is a pretty tricky mon to use. And even though it does beat out matchups, like I mentioned, it's either bait or nuke through shields dependent. In the one shield, you're safer and you can straight Sludge Wave through some matchups, but it's still, yeah, because of it being a super, it's because of it having Bastion-like stats, and even though it beats a lot of things, you also have to be careful of not getting Earthquaked, etc. So, yes, it does beat Wallring, for example, but if Wallring gets Earthquakes through shields, it's going to suck a lot for you, because Earthquake does like half of your HP or more, so... But a lot of it's going to be really good. And then I expected to see a lot in not just Open Great League, but also regional Open Great League teams, because this thing beats a lot of mons. Like I mentioned, even though it does depend on Muddy Water and Sludge Wave, etc., you could also do sack Toxapex strats like this, where even if your plan doesn't go according to plan, your plan B is to leave your opponent's Pokemon near dead and literally farm it down to death. So, unless they really want to give up Switch, and then you just have a dominant matchup in the back, etc. But Toxapex is going to do really well in Open Great League. It's really powerful. You should totally get one. And I'm probably going to walk around for a few hours, get my steps in, and catch a few for Open Great League myself. And maybe, hopefully, get that 0-15-15 so that you can get a 40.51 as an XL Toxapex just to flex. Do me a huge favor, please like, subscribe, and comment Toxapex, but Toxapex does, like I said, aligns with the Merit Series game, so this is to be expected. But do me a huge favor, please like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. I do appreciate you. I stream on Twitch Friday through Sunday, and I do, if it's worth analyzing, I'll look at it ahead of time like I did for this video. So a week from now, the 27th, is when Fashion Week starts. So next Wednesday, plan on getting your grind on so that you can go ahead and get your Great League Toxapex. It's not bulky enough. It doesn't max out 2500, so Great League is where you're going to find it the most. But good luck on your Go Bike sets, and I will see y'all on the next video.
All the choices that I made.